Happy Saturday, everyone. Welcome to Vancouver.
Saturday, everyone. Welcome
To Vancouver. Sorry
Saturday.
about the repeated audio there. I never know when I fire up my Twitch stream if the audio is muted or not. So you get the double welcome here today, but that's okay. This is a special edition of Prop Culture. We are going to be in the DC-8 today, not a propeller-driven aircraft, but we're going to be flying an historic route for CP Air, Canadian Pacific Air, and we're going to be traveling today from Vancouver to Winnipeg. It's the first leg of the CP Air historic route, and I hope you enjoy it. Yeah, all right. Well, that didn't work quite as good as I thought it would, but trying to get the theme song music to be a little bit more, uh, I don't know, the easier transition there. Downwind Sim checking in as often he does. He's actually sitting right here in the co-pilot seat. He's the first officer today. Maybe I've coaxed him into flying the Mad Dog along with us on this route. It'd be nice to have some company. This is going to be a little bit of a lengthy route today, as you probably guessed if you know anything about Canada, which most of us don't. But it's a pretty good leg here. It takes us, uh, yeah, probably not quite halfway across the continent here. By the time we get from one end to the next, we're going to be full on, you know, coast to coast essentially. Well, not quite. We're going to end up in Montreal, but this flight will take us it'll be about 3 hours 45 minutes or so, a little over 1,000 miles, and should be a lot of fun. Hopefully, you guys will enjoy it as well. All right. Yeah. Okay. So Downwind maybe going to join us, and yeah, either from Calgary into Winnipeg or perhaps here to Calgary. We have time. I give the disclaimer each time that I fly the DC-8 that it takes a little while to get it set up, and so if you want to fast forward to about the 45-minute mark, you might, if you just want to see kind of the departure things like that. That's not uh, that's about where it'll probably be by the time I get it powered up and get all the information into the SIVA and all that good stuff. But before I do that, let's talk just a little bit about the historic routes. It started back with the Eastern Airlines L1011. We flew a route from Atlanta up to Kennedy, and then a little bit later on, we flew from Kennedy down to Miami International. That was based on some information that we found from departedflights.com. Actually, most of the flights that we're using here, most of the routing that we're using here comes from departedflights.com. There are some other sources that I've been able to tap into, and already have had several people reach out to me and tell me about some different routes that they remember when from their childhood. But that was where we started with the Eastern Airlines L1011. Then we flew the TWA L1011. Chicago to LA is where we started out. O'Hare down to LAX, and then we flew from LAX up to Boston Logan in the infamous, well, wasn't a good wasn't a good landing. Let's just put it that way. So looking to bounce back a little bit today. It's good to be in the DC-8. We're in the Canadian Pacific DC-8. This is information from 1978. This is a route that they used to fly and Vancouver to Winnipeg, like I say, today. And then the next time we come back to this. We'll go Winnipeg to Toronto and then to Montreal. It's actually a 2-stop. Well, it's Winnipeg to Montreal with the stop in Toronto, so that'll be kind of a fun one to do as well. But yeah, we'll get to that. And then on the horizon, you do see some other things coming up. I'm efforting to try to figure out if there's some fine air routes that we can fly with the DC-8. And I do have some things on the back burner for the 737-200, the 727-200, and the DC-3. So lots and lots of historic opportunities here. And yeah, hopefully you'll follow along with us and enjoy what we're doing here on the Historic Routes Tour. So, okay, without any further ado, let's get this thing going. Downwind Sim is saying, oh yeah, he may be able to fix the music issue. Yeah, I could use it. I could use it because I'm making progress, but I'm not quite where I would like to be. That's okay. So let's see. We're going to turn external power and external air on. It's going to get a little bit noisy here, and unfortunately, when I click off the screen, it's gonna go kind of mute. But you're used to that if you've watched any of these before. Battery power is going to come on here. Just double check, make sure everything is looking good. Everything looks like it's doing. We can go to external power if we wanted to there. And this can stay off for now. I think all this is looking okay. I can put the volt selector, I am going to put that over to AC tie right now. Cabin compressors, we're going to check, make sure these are all, compressors are off, the pneumatic systems are off, and the Freon compressors are also off. We can set our pressurization here to be, where am I at? We're going to be flight level 370 today. So spin that up here, about there, and then galley power can come on. Alright, I think we've got everything set there. Now let's go to the INS, and this is what takes a long time. We're going to put it to standby right now. We're going to go down to the pedestal, and we're going to enter our position. This is position 0. This is where we're at right now. I'm going to have to click off. I apologize. To get some information here from SimBrief, and this helps us start aligning the INS. You can't move an inch when you're doing this, so we'll make sure that we try to get all this stuff anchored in as best we can. All right, we are north 49. 117, and we are west 123. 11. Okay, we're going to just double check that. 123, 11. Ooh, I already made a mistake. West. Oh, maybe it changed that for me automatically. Let's come over to this one here and do this. North 49 117 and west 123 110. I think that's what I'm supposed to be. I'd like to be able to change that, and it's not letting me do it. I don't know why. Not a huge difference here, but it will make a difference in our flight planning. So let me see if I can. That's interesting. Usually it'll let me come back here and do it. It's going to keep it in there. So this is going to be, well, this might be a little bit of an issue. I think I put in the wrong number and I pushed enter. Not letting me reset that. Alright, well, let's do this then. Let's come up here. Turn this guy back to off. And then there we go. We'll put him back to standby. Alright, west. Well, it's not gonna, well, we're gonna just have to roll with it, I guess, guys. It'll be a little bit of an issue, but for the arrival, I always fly using VORs anyway. So, but that's an issue. Don't do that. Make sure those match. Can I switch this in? No, I can't. Okay, well, let's see here. Back to the checklist. So I've got the airport position set. I'll set the remote for both sides. I've got, I'm going to set the INS to align. Again, this can take upwards to about 20 minutes to do. And yeah, tell the cleaning staff to turn off the vacuum. Let me turn that down a little bit here. Maybe that'll help. It is a loud system. It's good. You always feel good when you turn that sucker off because it really does kind of blow your eardrums out. Where was I? INS. So I'm going to get my clearance checked now here. I do have tower on. I'm very thankful for that. I didn't know if I was going to have anybody on here, but we do have tower. So let's take a minute here. We'll turn this on. Tower is 1870. We do have the flight plan filed, so we'll see. Oh, that's the nav, sorry. 1870. And let's see if we can just check in here. Vancouver Tower, Empress 386 Heavy Information Alpha requesting IFR clearance to Winnipeg. I'm going to come over here and take some notes. Oh gosh. So I've got a little bit of an issue here with my settings. Oh boy, audio. Okay. This happened to me the other day, where it was the ATC was coming out of my desktop speakers here, and not through my headset. Let's do this. I'm going to turn the external air off for now. Hopefully we won't get too cold back there in the cabin. That'll make it a little bit easier for everybody to hear. I think I maybe have the audio settings fixed here. I didn't have those microphone input outputs set to my headphones, so hopefully that'll work, because that's exactly the opposite. I found that out last night as I was flying on Friday Night Ops, which is a bad time to find out you have a little bit of a glitch in any part of your system, but it was yeah, I found out that I was actually doing it exactly the opposite, or it was instead of having the controller through your earphones and your aircraft through your, there we go.
Last aircraft calling Vancouver Tower, say call sign only.
Empress 386.
Empress 386, Vancouver Tower, good morning. You are cleared to Winnipeg International via the Vancouver 1 departure, flight planned route, depart runway 08 right, squawk 3712.
Whoops. Cleared to Winnipeg, Vancouver 1, runway 08 right, squawk 3712, fly planned route, Empress 386.
Empress 386, read back is correct information. Bravo is current, altimeter 3019er, push and start at your discretion, calling for taxi.
We'll go get Bravo 3019, we'll call you for taxi, Empress 386. Alright, so that has changed a little bit here since we first logged in. And so information Bravo, we'll have to go get that. But first, let's check this. We're going to be squawking 37. Oops. 3712. And we'll go to standby there. All right. So now this thing will start to. Here's the systems test that it does. It has 9 of them that it runs. When this gets down to 0, then you're in good shape. So that's what we're hoping for. Since these two are different, it'll be interesting to see, I guess, what happens. But we'll go ahead. We're going to start again. It's SimBrief. That's the information that I'm using to get all this waypoint data. If you don't know about SimBrief, it's a pretty cool free flight planning software, and we've plugged in our route, and it gives us this OPF, operational flight plan, and then we need all this waypoint information here for our SIVA. That's how that works. So that's what I'm looking at when I kind of go off screen there, just in case you were wondering. And I'm just going to be working my way through the route that I showed you here. There's really not a lot to it. I think there's Calgary, and then this is, I don't know, Empress. I thought there was Dead Horse. No, that's up north. Regina Beach, and then Langruth. So only four VORs that I have to put in, only 4 waypoints, and we can get a little bit more specific with the actual the Victor Airways, or excuse me, the Juliet Airways, as we get going. But that's what I'm going to be doing right now. Is I'm going to be just starting to put in the waypoints, and I have the remote set, so it'll put both in at the same time. And we'll start with the first waypoint here on SimBrief, which is Calgary. So this will be north, 51069. And then west, we have 113529. And then I just double check that, make sure that those are the same. They are, and then I check it back against SimBrief. So 113529, 113529, that looks good. 51069, 51069. Okay, very good. So the first waypoint is in. Simple as that. Put up to 9 in here. And the last one needs to be your arrival airport, by the way. So Empress is next. Waypoint 2. This is 50556. Inserts. West 109594. Insert. Those match. And do they match? 109594. 109594, yep. 50556, that looks good. All right. Then I said Lumsden. Is that right? Lumsden? Then Langruth? Just double check that. VLN. Yep, that's Lumsden. That's our third waypoint. And Lumsden north. We're going 50400. Insert. West 104534. Alright, those match. And 104 534. Feels a bit loud. 104, what did I say here? 104, 534. We're just checking that
Air
against
China
SimBrief here.
19er 59er. I'm surprised you didn't blow my eardrums. I read you 5, but you're way too loud. If you could turn down your microphone, please.
104, 504 says
Roger, Air China 19er 59er. How do you read me right now?
a little better.
Air China 19er 59er. That was a bit better, but if you could turn your microphone down even more, please. Roger, I would turn my mic down.
Okay, last waypoint here. Langreth, north. This is 50253, 5253, and west.
And essential aircraft on frequency. Vancouver Tower is now closed.
Rats.
Have a great rest of your day.
98, 434. Well, shoot. I thought we were going to have at least enough clearance until we got off the runway, but does not appear to be the case. That's okay. We did get our clearance. We know where we're supposed to fly now. It's just a matter of us executing. So that's just fine. 5253, just double checking. That looks good. 98, 434. Yes, that looks good. And then the last waypoint, like I said, needs to be the arrival airport, which is Winnipeg. And we are north. This is 49, 546. And west, 97, 144. Those match. And 49, 546, 97, 144. Those match up with SimBrief. Downwind Sim says he'll take care of us. We're at gate 100, but here's the tricky part, Downwind. I'm at the default P3D airport, so good luck trying to find me here. I'm like clear over, I think on the cargo area or something. It's the only place that had a heavy gate, so that's where I'm at. Everybody behave themselves. Mrs. First Lady's down here now. She's going to monitor the situation. She's had enough of our shenanigans. So anyway, we're there. We're going to depart runway 08 right, so we're going to have to taxi a long way, clear around the horn here. Looks like this is Quebec to Victor to Lima. We'll cross runway 13, and we'll keep that in mind as we get going. Downwind Sim says hello. Well, she's busy. It's put away Christmas decorations day at our house, and so that's what she's cranking on. I helped a little bit with the heavy stuff, if you know what I mean. Now she's kind of piddling around on the rest of it. Okay. So anyway, yeah. Let's see where we're at. Oh, we're already getting a few of these. This one's a little bit behind this one because I had to power it back off and on, but we'll wait till both of these are down to 0. We're making good progress there. So flight plan is entered, transponder code is entered, and transponder is on standby. And so now I need to set the altimeter 3019er. I am going to get rid of the flight yokes here. 3019. This is kind of nice, has the altimeter and the QNH. Some weather around these parts, I think. It's a little bit of a low ceiling, and it's snowing at my house, so I don't know. I'm a little bit further east than Vancouver is, but I think they're getting weather kind of all up and down the mountains today, so it could be kind of interesting as we climb across the Rockies. Okay, altimeter set. We're going to put the master heater on, and we're just going to go all the way to. We're going to just get everything on here. The captain's pitot, the first officer's pitot, and the stall warning. We're going to turn all that on. Windshield heat. We're going to put that to warm up, and I'm not going to turn any cockpit lights on just yet. We are going to go now to the fuel and payload, and again back to SimBrief for this information. We are going to need, let me scroll up here. I'm going to put, we're just going to go max passengers. Because again, who wouldn't want to fly on the historic route? Am I right? I mean, come on. You had a chance to fly the DC-8, you know you'd be on there. And then, I need to pull my paper charts out here. This is going to be something I need, but I'm going to need, let's see, zero fuel, total fuel, 32. That's tons. Is that tons? How much is that? 23,000 kilograms. So anybody have their conversion kilograms to pounds handy? I always have to look this up. 23,000, actually 23,125 kilograms to pounds. That's going to give us about 50, almost 51,000 pounds. I'm going to round that up to 55,000 just in case we have to divert. I always like to be on the high side, even though I know SimBrief already calculates that in, but I just like to give myself a little bit of wiggle room. So we'll go 55,000. So we're kind of making a note to ourselves here. Let me see what I have for this. I'll go 52,000. Just give myself just a hair extra. Don't need to go crazy here. Yeah, I think I have all the rest of my, that gives me my takeoff power, my climb power, my V1s, my V speeds, my cruise, all that good stuff. All right, that'll come in handy. And all right, fuel payload. Okay, that's set. Turn that off. Overhead, we're going to arm the emergency lights. We are going to make sure that the anti-ice I'm going to need anti-ice today. It's really not saying, it's not calling for icing. I guess we can put that on if we get into some, if things change before we take off. We'll definitely turn on the anti-ice. We will have everybody kind of get ready to go. Nav lights, anti-collision lights can come on. And radio, INS. So we're going to be departing. Let me show you the departure here for, it's the Vancouver 1 departure. A little bit of a funky departure. We're on 8, right? So we'll be heading out 083. And then you climb, I think, to 7,000. Is that the... Let's look here. Climb 083 or as assigned, and then you, maintain 7,000. Then you expect radar vectors to your filed or assigned route. And we're going direct Calgary. So we'll take off on that 083 heading up to 7,000 and then direct Calgary. But we will I think we actually tune in the Vancouver and we work off of Vancouver to get up to Calgary. We'll find this. This is, what is this? Juliet. I don't even know, but we get on this guy, I believe. Oh, no, I take that back. It's direct. So we'll use that on the outbound. I'll probably look at SkyVector to get a little bit better radio there, but that's the idea. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. So 083, let's set that right now. That's going to be our departure course. 1, 2, 3, and Vancouver 1590 will be what we use to navigate from. Yeah, that'll be good. Let's go over to SkyVector. I like to use both. I know I'm kind of weird that way, but here's one of the reasons why I think having both SkyVector and the Navigraph comes in handy, because if we're basing our departure off of this VOR, because Calgary is going to be too far away probably for us to tune in. So it's going to take us up here. 041 is going to be that outbound radio. So again, we'll depart. We'll depart kind of heading eastbound, and then we'll just intercept this Juliet 508 and just head straight up here through Vitov and Booth and all the way up to Calgary. But 041, that was the number I was looking for, and that's the number I just was not getting off of, oh, well, I take that back. Yeah, no, wasn't really giving it to me on Navigraph. So 041, we'll spin that around here as well, and what in the world? I'm taking the long way around, I guess. I was right there. Holy cow. Literally went the wrong way. Alright, so 041, it'll be an outbound once we get going, and that'll get us on the right track anyway. Alright, let's see what's next. What is next? We've got radios are now set. We can put the anti-skid, which is here. I don't think there's no remarks here about slippery runway surfaces, so that's good. Parking brake is set, and yeah, we're just about ready to actually start. Flaps are 0, fuel is off. I need to put the takeoff data in, which I do have noted here. I did a little bit of homework, so I know where we're at. Takeoff data, our toga power essentially is 187. So that's what we're going to be looking for our initial thrust, our initial EPR. And we'll climb at 172, so we'll adjust that once we get going. V speeds, V1 is 109. We're rather light here, if you can believe it. V rotate 125. V2 143. And then 0 flaps speed is 200. And we'll be looking for a Mach 0.78 cruise today. And our cruise power is actually 180. Our VREF when we come back is 128, by the way. Okay. So far so good. Altitude needs to be set 7,000. That's our initial altitude. And heading, we did set that. Initial VOR is set. Okay, I think we're just about ready to depart. Now here's the dealio. This is kind of interesting. So this INS is set and ready to rock. It's down to 0. This guy's still hung at 6. So we may try something for the first time on the channel, on the Historic Routes channel. If this guy doesn't come into play, we may use our SIVA, our nav2 as what we're doing. So we might have to, I tell you what, we're going to do this. We're going to go 1590, throw that in here, and we'll turn that guy on, 2280, and we'll turn this guy to standby for now. We can leave him on. It won't hurt us at all. But how do I make sure this is the one we're using? It's a good question. I have not used nav2 yet to actually use as the maiden guidance computer. That could be kind of interesting. All right, well we'll see what happens to this guy. I can also fly it just truly VOR to VOR if we really have to. I mean, that's I do both actually just to have the redundancy. I like that, and so that's a possibility as well. But all right, time for me to go back to school yet. I am back at school, man. I'm getting a lesson right here. All right, we will. While that comes down, we're going to go ahead and just let's see here. Yeah, everything matches, so I don't think, you know, this comm, I guess, is the only thing that's on that's different. And that has nothing to do with the nav. These navs are turned. Turn that on and see if that does nav 2. I'm looking at my documentation at the same time here. Nope, that just gives you the, it's kind of what I thought, the little Morse code thing. I think, I tell you what, I know there is a way to do it, because you, when you go past 9 waypoints in your flight plan, you can put the first 9 in nav 1 and you can put the second 9 in nav 2. So I know there is a way to do that, but I have not done it yet, and I've read about it and I can't remember. I'm trying to do Trax 360. You can help me out. So I've got both SIVAs that are attempting to align. This one is aligned. It's completely ready to rock and roll. This one's stuck on program 6, and so I'm just trying to remember the way to set nav 2 as my main navigational source, and to not worry about this. I'm worried this is hung up and it's not going to come off of 6. It's not going to align. You happen to remember, in your vast knowledge there, Trax? I know you're pretty handy. So this guy's ready. I can flip him over to nav. He's ready to go. Really, truly, if it makes it through to the 5th test, that's actually enough. It's accurate enough for you to be legal. So if that goes to 5, then we're in good shape. Well, we'll give it another minute or two. I guess if worse comes to worse, we just turn this guy off, and that'll kind of force us into nav 2. The problem is I don't want to lose my VOR navigation. I don't think this does anything to the VOR. I think this is purely the SIVA. So I could do, I guess I think this is the switch I need, my friends. Okay, I knew I'd seen that somewhere. So we're going to use INS number 2 as our, there we go. All right, problem solved, mystery solved. We will still let this guy kind of do its thing, but we're not going to wait too much longer. We're already about 9 minutes past our departure time as it is. But yeah, just about ready, I think, to get things started up. Sorry, let me get back to my checklist. Doors closed, jetway disconnected, fuel selectors. Yep, I'm ready. I think this guy is gonna be a no-go, unfortunately, for us. So we're gonna flip it to nav right now as it is. It's gonna be a non-issue. It just did not align, and I think that was all the way back at the beginning when I tried to, when I was trying to align to the initial position, and I had the coordinates off. You know, I did, and that was as far as I got. Went all the way back to 0 point, or it went back to, well, I'll show you what it does. Turn it off, power completely down. My guess is when I turn it back on, it's going to be on that 6th test. Go to standby. Nope, it's reset right there. So let me just do this real quick, just in case. You spin this down to my. Let's see if we have the ability to re-enter that initial fix, which is I think that's what's causing us the problem. So Vancouver, all the way back to 0. That's we need. Yeah. See, I can't. Oops. Here's where we're at, west. See, it's not letting me do any of this. It's not letting me clear that out, which it should. And so that's, I think right there is the problem. That's the issue. Everything else, as you can see, this and this right here, this is the magic number that's causing us all the issues. And so I just think this is going to be a non-use. I guess we're going to find out. Go to the first waypoint. All of the rest of this stuff is good to go. This is blinking though. This is ready. This is not. So yeah, I'm afraid we're probably just out of luck. We can start the program again, but you know it's another 20 minutes just to see if it goes down. I don't think it's worth it personally. I'm making a judgment call. We're going to go on INS2. We're not going to worry about this. So we will use our VOR navigation over here. We will use this as our INS. And again, we're not lost without it. I've flown actually several flights without messing at all with the INS just because it makes everything quicker to set up. But I'm ready to start the engines and go flying. I'm tired of messing around here. Let's, okay, so we need to go over to the engineers panel. And we'll do this. We're going to put the number 3 engine, put the boost on the main. We need to, oops, the first thing we need to do is we need to arm the starter. Okay, starter armed. Galley power, that also needs to come off. Alright, so just so you know what I'm looking at. So the number 3 fuel boost is on. We're going to come back over here. Here's the number 3 starter switch. We're going to click that. We're going to hopefully have a little bit of uh-oh. Alright, you know what? I'm not going to be able to do this without the noise maker. External air has to come on. Otherwise it will not spin. So sorry, I thought maybe I could get away with having that external air turned off, but not only are the passengers getting cold, but it will not allow me to spin the fans. Alright, so here we go. Again, starters armed. Fuel boost for number 3 is on. Now we can hit the starter. Here we go. This guy is spinning up. Needs to get to 17% or higher. And there's 17. Once it does, I can come back over here and hit the fuel. And then this baby comes alive. Alright, there we go. Well, here I was thinking I could have a shortcut. Hydraulic pressure is alive. That's a great thing because that controls flaps and brakes. We've had that fail on us before, and that was catastrophic. Alright, that looks good. We're going to come over here, do the same thing to number 4. Fuel boost on. Starter engaged. Watching rotation come up to 17%. Might be a little tough for you to see, so just take my word for it here. There's 17. Introduce the fuel. Everything here. Monitoring it's coming alive. Obviously we want to keep it below the red lines. Awesome. Listening to it as well as looking at it, and the sound looks sounds fantastic. The sound looks fantastic. No, that doesn't work. All right, over to number 2. Boost on. Starter engaged. RPMs increasing. There's 17%. Fuel on. Engine starting. That's sounding fantastic. All my pressures and temps are well within range. And last one, same thing here, number 1. Fuel on, starter engaged. Spinning, spinning, spinning. There's 17. Fuel on. That guy's coming alive as well. And the best part of that is that we get to turn off the air and all that good stuff here, but we're going to wait just a little bit, make sure it gets going. Make sure it stabilizes. That sounds like it's happening. Hey, perfect. Perfect. Okay, so up here, this can come off. Pitot heat, we do have all the pitots on. I will put the probe heater. I'm gonna turn it on, and all right, I can turn off the external power and the air. Even though that was only on for a couple minutes, that still feels great when you get to turn that off. And then battery power, I'm going to select that. We're going to do gen parallel. That gets all these guys working together. I can turn the galley power back on. The cabin compressors now need to come on. And the pneumatics can go to low. I can turn the freons just in case we maybe need some AC for a few things. And all the enunciators. Yeah, everything looks good. Nothing, no warning lights here. That's a good thing. Okay, it's time for taxi clearance, and again, we talked a little bit about what we have to do. We have to go clear around to the other side of the airfield here. This could take a while. Let me get my diagram back. Oh, Navigraph logged me out. What's up, Navigraph? Seems like it was Quebec to Victor, cross 13. Sorry, I'm still trying to pull this up here. Airport info. All right, there we go. Log back in. So yeah, we're gonna hang a right here, go up Quebec, all the way down Quebec, left on Victor. We're gonna cross 13, right on Lima, and we'll go all the way around the horn here and line up on runway 8. There we go. Downwind had it for me. 8 left. No, 8 right is my clearance, my runway clearance. So I'm gonna go all the way around. I follow the rules, man. I don't know. That's just what the ATIS told me. So honestly, I don't know that it makes a huge difference. It's only, well, it's 2,000 feet difference. Maybe that's what. Maybe is there a limit on? My guess is it's probably less about it being short and more about it like being beefy enough to accommodate a heavy. I don't know enough though about runway specs to make that call. So we're just going to play by the rules. We're going to go all the way around to 8 right. I'll check the ATIS one more time here. Just to make sure. It should be information. Well, it was information Bravo. Oh.
Wind.
Charlie, Yankee, Victor, Romeo, airport information, Romeo 19000, Zulu, weather, wind 085, at 8, visibility 10, sky condition, ceiling 3000, broken, ceiling 6000, overcast, temperature 5,
yeah, that's
2.4,
true.
altimeter 3019, advise on initial contact that you have information, Romeo.
Well, you know what, it doesn't now,
Charlie, Yankee.
because I don't have ATC telling me that I need to go over there. I think it does maybe make sense just to go all the way down Saves our taxi a little bit, so let's do that. Yeah, why would the cargo ramp be next to that runway? That's a question I cannot answer, sir. So we'll go Mike, just all the way down, Mike, to Mike 10. Do you mind hopping out real fast downwind and slapping the stall kit on the wings? Just well, here's part of the issue. I've got a guy coming in here. He should be turning though into the ramp. Vancouver traffic, Empress 386, taxi 08 left on Mike, Vancouver. Let's see what this guy's doing here. I don't know where he's going. If he was, if he just has landed, he wouldn't be clear the heck down there, would he? There's no way, unless he's, looks like he's a jetliner. We got us a standoff. Well, I'm not going to be able to get to 8 left if he's in my way, so I guess what I'll do is I'll get down to Victor.
Vancouver traffic, line up on takeoff runway 08 left.
Okay, so he's going the other way. There, yeah. That's weird. I wouldn't have thought I would have seen his white light there. Speaking of white light, let's put the taxi lights on here. Alright, I need to squawk Charlie. I need to also turn my weather to standby so it can get warmed up. Ooh, I need to squawk mode Charlie on my V-Pilot as well. Taxi lights are on, windshield heat is on, continuous ignition, I do need to arm that again. Let's see, where is that? Continuous ignition is armed. Okay, well, I'm just following this guy then. I guess if he's doing it, I can do it. If he's doing it, anybody can do it. And if he departs right now, we should have plenty of time for the wake turbulence to clear out. We should be in good shape. Looks like he might be on the roll. Yep, there he goes. Safe flights, Captain. This is a beautiful departure, by the way. Just mountains everywhere. Airbus, I think. All right. Trax flies in here all the time. Yeah, I bet it's pretty spectacular. Looks like it. The old VOR DME approach. Yeah, this is one that I think I'm gonna have a lot of fun messing around with in X-Plane with the ortho scenery. I think I have Pacific Northwest that extends up into here, so the scenery mesh itself looks pretty good, but I have not found any kind of an airport that I've wanted to purchase. So, and now that I've kind of moved into X-Plane, dipped my toe in there a little bit, I don't see myself spending a whole lot more money on P3D. I think what I have is kind of what I have. Alright, let's get up here. We'll hold short, announce our intentions. We'll hit the last of our checklist, and we'll be off to Winnipeg. Downwind Sim, are you flying from Winnipeg, or excuse me, from Calgary to Winnipeg then, or are you here? I haven't heard you on the comm, so I'm assuming that's what you're doing. All right, before takeoff, we're going to put the takeoff lights on. Okay. Don't wait for me. Also, you are coming from here. Okay, cool. And retracts. I always forget I have the retracts here. Let's extend those guys. And altimeter, we'll check one more time. 3019er. I think that's still what we have. Yep, that's still what we have. The altitude 7,000. Heading is, again, we're going to be flying runway heading, and then we're going to be making a left-hand turn 041 to track away from Vancouver toward Calgary. Vancouver traffic, Empress 386, taking runway 8 left for departure, Vancouver. Okay, final looks clear. Whoops. Engineer's panel looked clear also. Runway's clear. Oh, I don't have flaps set. So flaps 10 departure. Flaps 10 departure. Love how this thing turns, by the way. This was one of those aircraft that were built to accommodate airports that didn't have jetways, and so the thing can basically pivot on one leg. It's like a zero radius lawnmower, because they just had to take it right straight up to the gate as close as they could get, and then they would just spin it around, so no tug or anything like that needed. Alright, so 187 is my takeoff EPR, so let's spool up. Things are stable. Takeoff. Takeoff power set. Airspeed's alive. V1. Rotates. Now we are light. Positive rate. Gear up. There's 0 flap speed. Flaps are up. We're just going to continue on this course until we intercept the VOR or get to 7,000 feet, whichever comes first. Okay, I'm going to set that. Allow the computer to take over the heading mode right here, and then I can also spin the wheel for vertical speed. There's no speed control on this. You just have to manage it with your power setting and your vertical speed mode. We're climbing up now through 1,500. So the idea here, you get up to about 10,000 feet, and then you level out and you increase your speed to 300 knots, and then you try to hold that as long as you can on your climb. This is a very tough bird to get speed back when you lose it, so you really have to be careful when you're coming on the descent. It can pick up speed in a hurry, so you have to be careful of that route, but on the climb it can also really be a bear to get speed back up. In some cases you actually have to nose down if it gets too slow, because it'll pitch and it'll be like a 9 degrees nose up attitude, and just can't, even at full throttle, you can't get any kind of you just can't recapture your airspeed. So we're going to try to keep it obviously below 250. Okay, here comes our VOR. So we're gonna I don't know how well you can see this, but we're gonna flip this over one to the right to VOR localizer. That'll capture that guy, and we'll fly the departure with VOR. And then as soon as we get kind of up close to Calgary, which we've got a ways yet, but when we get up close to Calgary, we have 367 miles to our first waypoint. But that's when we'll engage the SEVA, and we'll let the SEVA fly the rest of the way. All right, we're on the localizer. I would assume at this point we would get our clearance at least up to 10,000, but I'm going to just play air traffic controller and say you're cleared to 18,000. I want to look around a little bit though first. Let's not get too far without peeking outside. Wow. That's pretty beautiful. Yeah, that's what this is all about, guys. That flying in the mountains. Look at that guy peeking out at us, man. You have no idea. You just got to keep it rolling. Everything's hidden over here. You've got the ocean on the other side. That's incredible. Empress of Lisbon. Remind me to talk about that here. I've got some behind-the-scenes stories of Canadian Pacific. There's a story behind the Empress of Lisbon. All right, so we're climbing. We're making good power. We're at 7,000. We're a little bit quick here, but I think we're just going to increase our rate of climb. Try to manage that, keep it about 250. Not uncommon, I read, for these things to climb out at 4,000 feet a minute, depending on the terrain and how heavy they are. We're now at just over 2,000. I think we could bump it up to more like about 3,000. You can see we're not even, we're way down here at 137. Our climb power, once we get up to 10,000 and we level out, our climb power we actually have calculated at 172. So I'm going to go ahead and just spin that down. Okay, so we're 136 right now. This is 172. So we have quite a bit of power we can feed back in when the time is right, which is here in about 500 feet actually. So let's go ahead. We're going to level it off, not totally, but get it back down to about 1,000 feet per minute. And then we're gonna go ahead and not worry too much about anything but speed. So I'm gonna increase this to 172. We're gonna continue at our. Oops, now we nosed up a little bit there with the power increase. I think our nose popped up, but we'll be right about 1,000 feet per minute. We'll watch the speed increase. When we get to 300, then we can gradually increase the trim wheel here, get back to our regular climb. Well, we're climbing at 1,500 still. Let me nudge that down, and we'll just pull back on the vertical speed to try to maintain 300. We don't want to go above that. We don't want to overspeed, and that's definitely a possibility right now. So there's 300. So let's go ahead. We'll pull back and we'll get our climb to about 2,000 feet per minute. We'll see if that allows us to keep it at about 300. I think that's knots. I don't know if that's miles per hour. Climbing through 11,700 right now. What is that speed? Knots, airspeed. So we're about 320 right now. We're getting a little too quick. So So let's give it a little bit more vertical speed. Increase our climb. 2,500. Man, we're getting a little bit quick. We're going to be every bit of 3,000, aren't we? Really making good climb power right now. We're above 3,000. Man, we could almost go 4,000. Give it a couple more clicks. We're going to be up like 3,500 feet a minute. We're making over 300 knots right now. We're right on the dot. Maybe just a hair too much. I'll pull back slightly on the throttle. Yeah, it's still rolling. Still getting up close to overspeed. I'm not going to go over 4,000. If I get up to 4,000 and we're still climbing, I'll pull back on the power a little bit. You just hate to give up any of the throttle if you can help it, just because it just takes so much time to get things spooled back up. There we go. So we're a little over 3,500 feet a minute. Now our speed is starting to come back down. In the meantime, look at that. We're through 16,000 already. I'm going to say air traffic controller would say go ahead, cleared to flight level 370. That's what's filed. I do need to clean some things up on the overhead as well here, but just kind of trying to manage that to begin with. And I have some fuel things I need to address as well, but let's go to the checklist here. After takeoff checklist. We're gonna be through 18,000. Yes, we are. So 29902. All right, speed's coming back down. I'm going to go ahead and nose down a little bit here. We are going to turn the landing lights off. We're going to pull the retracts back. We're going to take the auto ignition off. We'll leave windshield heat on. We never did put any anti-ice on. Didn't need that. We're going to come over here. We're going to do the the main tanks to fill. So here's the deal. This is the kind of the tricky part here. So we want to make sure that we have to unload the fuel in a specific order for the structural integrity of the wing. And the first thing we need to do is we need to empty out the auxiliary or the alternate outboard engines. And so we don't need the boost anymore here, but we will turn on the auxiliary boost, and then we're going to fill. So you take the fuel from the alternate tank, you pump it into the main tank on the outboards, and then once this is dry, hopefully this number and this number will match, and that is the recommended way for essentially draining the fuel tanks so that you have the most structural integrity on your wing. It's a big old long wing. Look at our speed is almost back down to 250, so we're gonna pull back here to about a 2,000 foot per minute climb, see if we can recapture that speed. Just that fast, man, that happens. And I have done the old step climb deal with this plane many times as well. You get down to below 250 and you sort of level her off and you get your speed back and you pull the nose back again and start climbing. And that's just the limitation of one guy flying a three-man operation. If you have an engineer back there messing with your fuel, you have a first officer cleaning up the overhead, and the captain can be the one that's adjusting the vertical speed wheel and keeping your speed at 300. I think I'm going to have to do the step climb thing here. Let's get down to about 500 feet per minute. We're doing pretty well. We're almost to 26,000. Getting this bird up above 30,000 feet, it takes some work. Every once in a while, SimBrief will clear me up to 390, and it's just like, are you kidding me? That's a long process. Okay, I like that. The speed's coming back up nicely. I don't know if we'll quite get all the way back up to 300, but we'll let it increase as far as we can, and then we'll nudge it back up. Probably from here on out, we're looking at nothing more than about 1,000 to 1,500 feet per minute anyway on the climb. But yeah, we're recapturing a lot of that speed, so that's good. About 70 miles already away from Vancouver, so we'll track this outbound as far as we can, and then again, with any luck, we will be able to grab that Calgary VOR. I'm going to just take a quick look at that right now, actually. Let's hop over to Sky Vector for just a second. So we're like out in here somewhere, I think. Calgary is 15.2. Nope. Mabel Lake. Wait a second. Oh, Enderby. Enderby. Sorry, not Cal. What, did I say Calgary? Calgary is our second waypoint. Oh, okay. So, actually, now that I look at that, this is a little bit of a... Yeah, this is a little bit of a detour for us. We should be tracking Calgary, direct Calgary, but you know what? That's okay. We're going to go, we'll pick up this. This will be a good in-between waypoint. So 15.2, I'm going to put that in there. I'm going to put that into nav 2. Let's see if it, so that is active. So I could tune that guy in. That's a leg of how much here? I'm guessing we're at least halfway there by now. All right, so let's do this. We'll pop back over to heading mode, kind of maintain our course. We're going to tune in 1520 and see how close we are here. Yeah, not too far off. Let's make a little bit of a left turn. We'll pick up that VOR. Here's what I filed. So I actually filed from Vancouver direct to Calgary, and there is no airway that takes us there directly. So Sky Vector just put us on this airway, which it probably makes more sense to do it that way, even though there's no airway between Enderby and Calgary, but at least there's an airway that gets us up to this point. That might, if we would have had an approach controller, he may have made that adjustment for us to keep us on the Victor 304, but that's not what I actually filed. So that's a little bit of a artistic, what do they call that? No, not leverage, but we're just making a call here to go with something that's a little bit different. That's, I mean, not going to be a big deal at the end of the day. We're 90 miles away from it, so you know, we have a little bit of time to kind of capture this. There you go. A little bit of an artistic interpretation. But for future reference, it's good to know. That's probably, you know, if Sky Vector does a really good job of, you know, looking at stuff like that and interpreting what really truly makes sense. And SimBrief, not so much. SimBrief does not, it doesn't generate slant whiskey or slant alpha flight plans. It generates RNAV things, and now it will accept, if you plug those in, it'll accept them, and it'll give you all the information that you need to fly them, but it's not one that's going to come right up and say, you know, hey, here you go. So you're in the DC-8, and here you go. Why don't you fly this route? Again, another reason I think why it's good to have both, you know, SimBrief and Sky Vector. Well, actually all three, I guess. SimBrief, Sky Vector, and Navigraph. Have it all out. Even though we're flying this, it's good just to have those things to reference. All right, that's almost coming in. I'm gonna turn this back over to the localizer. Yep, it's gonna make a little bit of a left-hand adjustment to pick up this radial. The radial, according to Sky Vector, is 220. So how close are we there? 220. Not quite. Oops. Right there is 220. There's somebody checking in for Seattle. Is that part of the world? While we're climbing, we're almost to 30,000. Speed has really done a good job of coming back up, so I'm gonna pull this guy back just ever so slightly. Uh-oh. All right. I just got the green light that all Christmas decorations are back in their appropriate containers and ready to go back into the storage closet. So I may have to step away from the controls here for a minute or two once we get to cruise. Once I get the SIVA rocking and rolling and just put some boxes away. That'll be good actually, because it's kind of hard to sit for 3 hours and 45 minutes. All right, so we picked up the VOR. We're heading to Edinby. I said we are Enderby, and then we'll go Enderby to Calgary. So downwind sim, if you get rolling, that's where we are. We're hanging out up here pretty soon at 370. All right, so let me talk to you real quickly about this livery, this Empress of Lisbon. I wondered what the heck that was. I mean, I understood that Empress is the call sign for Canadian Pacific, that later became CP Air, that later became Canadian West, I think, and then eventually it just got bought out by Air Canada. But anyway, what I read in one blog was that it was kind of cool the way that they would name their fleet, and they would base like the airplane based on where it flew. And so Empress of Lisbon, then that's, that must mean that this particular DC-8 flew down in Australia. And I guess, is there a Lisbon, Australia? Lisbon, is there a Spain? Lisbon, Spain? I don't know. Anyway, so I'll pull the blog up here in a little bit, but yeah, I thought that was kind of cool that they would name their fleet based on where they where they operated out of, essentially. The next landing is where? Well, the next landing for me is in Winnipeg. So I'm going to be flying over the top of Calgary, though, here in a little bit. Here in about 32.3 minutes. So in about a half an hour, I'll be over the top of Calgary if you want to fire that baby up, and we can do a formation flight into Winnipeg. But yeah, I got a kick out of that. I thought that was pretty awesome. All right, speed's coming back down. Not uncommon when we get to this high of altitude. We're at 340. We need 3,000 more feet is all. If we keep it above 250 when we level out at cruise, then we'll be able to recapture what we need. We're already almost at Mach 0.78, so I mean we're right there, close to speed. We have our thrust has increased a little bit, but our cruise is actually 180. So let me spin that up to 180. Yeah, that's right about right on the money. So I'm not going to worry about messing with that. I'm taking a look here. This is well below my limits. If I go back here, same deal. You know, RPMs are below. Pressures are all looking good. Temperatures are all looking good. Manifold pressure, all that, everything looks really good right now. So yep, I don't see anything, nothing of concern at this point. So we're just going to keep it at that. Try to get ourselves another, 2,500, and then we'll be up at cruise, and then maybe it'll be time to see if the SEVA's working at that point in time. So we'll have to make sure that we're using over here the INS. In fact, I can flip that over. Okay, maybe not. This ought to be, let's see, what are we, 040? Let me get that spun around. 040, yeah. Come around here. Oh, I went the opposite way. Okay. I always do that. Alright, 040, yeah, we're on it. Pretty well on it. I'll go to INS. There we go. Alright, so this shows us that we are currently well right of, well, I should say well right. We're right of course, which should make sense because the INS is expecting us to be on this direct to path between Vancouver and Calgary. It's expecting us to be heading straight there. So it's wondering why we're not down here when we're up on this magenta line. So that makes perfect sense. And once we turn the corner, okay, we're doing good. Once we turn the corner, that should start to line up a little bit better. But we won't engage the SEVA right away because it will make a wild course correction and try to get back down on that direct to line that connects Vancouver and Calgary. So we'll probably end up flying, well, not probably, we'll definitely end up flying this first leg up to Calgary using VOR, using radio navigation. Once we get up there, like I say, I'll take a little stretch break. I do have to go back and visit one of the, I don't know, 5 or 6 bathrooms that this plane had. The Diet Dr. Pepper is starting to kick in. And then I'll show you some of the stuff I found about CP Air. It's a pretty cool company. Got, I think, interesting history. That's been kind of the fun part about all of this. Oh, by the way, I never did turn my radar on, did I? The radar in this baby, unfortunately, there's 1,000 to go. It's just a terrain radar. It's not a weather radar. Aerosoft says that they, at some point in time, hope to be able to integrate it with one of the weather engines, but as it goes for now, it's a terrain radar, which that's okay. Still kind of cool. Feels like it's turned up super bright. Can I do the dimmer? Does that work? Nope. Gain, that doesn't work. I don't know. That looks really, really bright. I don't know what the deal is. If that's just the sun shining in on me or what. But all right, we won't worry about that. That's rolling. 600 to go. Speed is holding tight. Fuel is, those are counting down. If I do 45 plus 59, I'm right there at about 10.5. Yep. So those are all looking pretty good. Pretty balanced. And all you have to do to maintain your altitude is just spin this vertical speed wheel to where the little line there matches up with the triangle, and you hear a little click when you get there. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it or not, but I'll be quiet. See if you can pick it up. We're 200 feet away. Alright, also at the same time I passed over the VOR there. And so I need to be outbound now on, oh, let's see. What is that? What is that heading? I'm not sure. I need to look. What gives me that heading? Enderby. Oh, it doesn't have a heading. That's right. Let's turn about 060 for now, and let's see. Do I have? I wonder if I can pick up Calgary yet. 16.7. Let's see. That's where we're direct to now. 1670. All right, that's alive. So let me just spin this direct to. Ooh, I was pretty close. I've got it. Not too bad. All right, so 187 from Calgary. Again, this is showing that we're still, you know, left of course, but that'll start to tighten up here once we get closer to Calgary. 063 was the heading. So again, this is working off the INS. This is working off my VOR. That's why those look different. 182. Yep, and that the SIVA is showing that's how far we have to go, so that's good. That double checks. We're at 370. We're level. We are at Mach 0.8, so that's a little quick. And I think fairly stable, so I'm going to pull back just slightly. I know it said cruise could be 180 for the EPR, but that's a maximum rating, so we're okay to be below that. That's just kind of the highest allowable power setting. But what we're going to try to do right now is just keep backing off our power until we're down here at Mach 0.8, or sorry, 0.78. So I'm just nudging it down a little bit. You'll see the EPR dropping. Hopefully you'll see the speed drop, and there's quite a delay, so you don't want to be in a hurry. And a little bit of EPR equals a lot of speed. So we don't want, again, there's still that danger of getting too slow, and then the aircraft really noses up, it really pitches to try to hold altitude, and then it's just impossible, especially at 370. It's impossible to recapture that speed. You actually have to start to descend a little bit to get the speed back and to get your trim kind of reset and all that fun stuff. All right, so that little adjustment didn't do much in terms of Mach. I'll just pull it back a little bit more. Still not much. And I don't mind going Mach 0.8. I mean, it's not like we're, you know, we were a little bit late on the departure, so, you know, I'm sure the company appreciates us trying to make up for lost time. Current winds are not helping us a whole heck of a lot. 103 at 1. Well, that's surface wind, sorry. Up here at 370, 324 at 31. So, yeah, kind of a crosswind. Not really that west wind that you would like to see. But all right, well, I think we're in pretty good shape here. I think everything's set. Things are flying pretty stable. I'm going to take a quick trip to the restroom, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so let me share with you one of the blogs that I came across when I was researching these routes. This is a cprblogspot.com, and it just has some really cool information. This is the one though that talked a little bit about how they named the planes. In fact, I'll share that here in the chat if you want to check it out yourself. The names right here. So the first Douglas DC-8 was named Empress of Santiago, and then when CPR took delivery of the first 747, it was named Empress of Asia. So yeah, so the name of the area they primarily serve. So it might seem kind of crazy that you have CP of Japan, but I believe that this company ended up in like five different countries. So quite the organization. It also talks just a little bit about, I mean, it's basically rail, it's shipping, they have a bunch of stuff here. And they talk about the livery and all that, you know, the triangle depicts motion, the half circle depicts global service, and the square signifies stability. You know, so it's got a lot of good information here, and kind of cool. So yeah, that's the livery, and that's that's basically, you know, what you see here. Maybe, you know, pretty well done. Nice rendition of that. But that's one good read, I think. It talks a little bit too, just about kind of how, you know, how the company started to go south, kind of in the mid '80s. Tried to do some things, tried to expand, tried to get some partnerships, bought up some smaller feeder airlines, and but in the end it just wasn't enough. And part of it was because the Canadian government really preferred the Air Canada as kind of their national airliner. So these guys, they sort of were left to pick up those routes that maybe weren't as profitable. And then they eventually, I think around like 1987, yeah, was bought by Pacific Western Airlines in 1987, the year I graduated high school. And then eventually they were just they merged with Air Canada. 2001 they merged with Air Canada. So let's I've got a little, let's see what this video looks like. Not gonna be able to hear it, all right. All right, hang tight. I'm gonna do this. Let's mute the airplane sounds and let's listen to this.
To let you stretch out and within our aircraft, there is a special place, tranquil, peaceful, a place designed to let you stretch out and relax, a place that allows you to be as productive in the air as you are on the ground. We call this place Canadian Business Class.
Welcome aboard.
That's the new livery. When they did their expansion, they redesigned the livery and tried to modernize it and all that good stuff. And so anyway, I just thought that was kind of cool. And that's one of the fun things about doing this project, is not only figuring out old routes that you can fly or that did fly, but also just the history behind the airplanes themselves, whether it's the company or it's the particular aircraft. It's just kind of cool. Like, I thought this was also kind of neat. You know, at their date of closing, they had 19 737-200s, 13 DC-8s, a couple of DC-10s, so 34 aircraft in their fleet. And it gives you kind of a rundown here. Let's see if we can find the Empress that we're in right now. Empress of Lisbon. There we go. Empress of Lisbon. Yep. So it acquired in May of 1966 until April of 1969. It's Plane Spotter's airframe. What's it? DC-8-50. Yep. And produced in Long Beach. Serial number. Oh, it was scrapped. Wah, wah, wah. And it ended up doing most of its late work as a cargo plane. Withdrawn from use, stored at Miami, and then broken up in 1998 at Miami. It's that transferred, re-registered. So it flew, I wonder why it was originally named Empress of Lisbon. That's interesting. Is there a Lisbon that's somehow related to Canada? I don't know. Kind of cool though. And that's planespotters.net. You can really dig into the history of the different aircraft that you're flying. Let's see here. What else do I want to show you? Oh, we're still 80 miles from Calgary. Let me pull up the actual, pull up the information from departedflights.com here. Thought I had it out already, but apparently I've closed it. Now I need to find it again. There it is. So the departedflights.com, here's kind of the information that I was looking for. And I had to do a little bit of digging into some other forums to figure out what I was looking for here, because it's not, there's no airport or airplane type. Some of these flight schedules will have, like if it's a 747 or a L1011, this one didn't have that. And so what I had to do is actually go, and I apologize, I don't have this, but through a couple, 2 or 3 forums, I was able to figure out, you know, how do you know in looking at this what type of plane flew to between the 2 cities. And so this is what I came up with. So this is departing from Vancouver. This is, I don't know what page this is, but this is part of departedflights.com. Anyway, there's Winnipeg, and we have, this is a Wednesday flight, and it departs at 1:00, arrives at 14:30, Empress 386, which is what we are, and it's a non-stop flight. Generally speaking, the DC-8s, I mean, they were built for the long haul, and so, you know, a flight like this that's 1,000 miles is going to be perfect. Really, it's not even a long haul for a DC-8. I mean, this was really built to be, you know, like a across the pond type of deal. So 1,000 miles is nothing. So the one that really surprises me is actually the one we'll do coming up. You know, the next time we're here is the flight from Winnipeg to Vancouver, or excuse me, Winnipeg to Toronto, and then Toronto to Montreal. The fact that they made a stop, and I'm going to do my best to find the actual source that confirms that, but the fact that they made a stop on the way to Montreal in Toronto and then flew the last little bit into DC-8, it amazes me, because as you can see, it's I mean, it's not far from Montreal to Toronto. So how in the world, I don't know, but that's what they did. So and I was able to find some documentation that supported that. But anyway, that's next time. We still have some work to do here, and we are closing in 56 miles from Calgary. This hasn't moved a whole lot just yet. We're still well to the left of our course, but that's okay. But the main thing is 54 miles is what it's showing on the DME to the VOR, and 53 is what it's showing on the SIVA. So those are the things that need to match, and that's a good thing. All right, one more thing I need to show you here that I normally show before we get started, but I was trying to be somewhat efficient in my start, is the Vatastic map. Something I thought was cool when I first logged on. Yeah, Hawaii still has center going down here. Those guys did a really great job last night in their Friday night ops, the last FNO of 2019. And let me tell you what, they were really understaffed. They had a lot of aircraft coming in, most of them to Honolulu, which is, you know, not surprising, but they really hustled. And there was a guy, let's see, right at the end, he came in and pretty much picked up the slack for the entire area. And I wanted to point him out because he really deserves. His name is Jimmy Chin. And so if you see Jimmy Chin, make sure you reach out to him and let him know what a great job he did last night. I think he stayed for 5 hours or more. He's probably not up. Yeah, he's probably sleeping. But anyway, there were lots and lots and lots. I mean, a bunch of planes that would have been hung out to dry had he not stepped in and helped out. So, hats off to you, Jimmy. Appreciate your help there, and yeah, you deserve a lot of credit for the work you did last night. Otherwise, the West Coast is pretty empty. We're up here, just about to Calgary, and then we're going to make it there. So, not quite halfway. It looks like things are picking up on the East Coast, though, which is not surprising on a Saturday. We do have Chicago Center. This is Memphis and Atlanta. Well, you could fly Memphis all the way up, DC, New York, Boston, all the way up to to Gander if you wanted to. Very cool. But yeah, I don't know what's going on. Boston just kind of always busy like usual. Yep, 16 and 16 New York. Same way Kennedy's going to be. Ooh, Kennedy must have something going on. What is going on? Is there an event today? Let's check VATUSA.net. Let's see. Frankfurt to New York. Oh, so yeah, a little bit of a kind of across the pond deal. Ah, it's the Frankfurt to Kennedy shuttle. Boy, that snuck up on me here. So if you probably already know about this if this is your deal. They've got the route here, a couple different routes. Yeah, no wonder that's so busy. Very cool. Very cool. All right, Bat USA, great reference, great resource. If you haven't checked it out, batusa.net. And yeah, the days are, yep, there it is, sure enough. Oh, winter in Atlanta, maybe that's what I was looking at. That's coming up later on tonight, I believe. What time? Yeah, 23:59 Zulu. Winter in Atlanta. Looks like KATL will be staffed, and that'll be a fun place to fly into and out of. That's another airport that's quite busy most of the time, regardless of whether or not they're hosting an event. All right, more on that later. We're getting close to Calgary here, 21 miles, and when we get to Calgary, then we're gonna hop the outbound. Right now we're still not on a Victor Airway. We're gonna hop 073 over here to Empress, and at Empress, that's when we'll finally get on our first Victor, get on the 504. But this little leg needs to take place first, so we'll be ready. 073 will be where we want to go. So we're going to get ready for that here in just a second. I'm going to flip this over to heading mode so we can make this change. 15 miles away. And then after we get on the outbound, we're going to kind of see, yeah, look at that. That's getting pretty close. Once we get on the outbound, then we'll engage the SIVA, and we're going to make sure that this is going from 0 to 1. $11 miles out now. You have to be careful about when you engage the SIVA, because if you engage it at the wrong time, it'll actually try to come back around and fly over the top of the waypoint. So it's better, I think, if you're not exactly lined up. Like we're not exactly lined up here. We're close, but we're still a little bit off. It's better just to fly over the top of it and then you'll know you're in good shape. This is set to auto. It'll jump from 0, 1. It'll go 1 to 2, and so that's when it does that. You know you're in business. You know that it's following where it needs to go. So in the meantime, we need to go ahead. I think we're close enough. We can go ahead and spin this around to 073. We're still about 6 miles away, but this thing does not turn on a dime, to be sure. And hopefully that'll be close enough to, there we go. All right, 1 to 2. So we're now on where we need to be, and I can do this. I'm going to flip this to aux nav, and that should pick up. Now that this guy now has taken over control of our heading mode, so none of this stuff really matters anymore. We'll still tune it in just because it's nice to have backup in case something would happen. You know, this gives us a DME, but it really doesn't. This isn't controlling anything at this point. It's just a reference. All right, that's good. So we know, haha, first time ever. So I now know something. This is kind of important actually for me. There are a few times when I've flown that I've had more than 9 waypoints, and I've had to kind of pick and choose and skip over the top of waypoints, or a lot of times what I'll do is kind of like what I did today. I'll fly like the first half of the flight using VOR navigation and pick up the SIVA part of it like for the second half. But now I have the ability to actually use more than just the 9 waypoints that it allows you to put in, and all you have to do is flip from 1 to 2 and you're in business. Now the reason, if you're joining me late, SIVA number 1 had some issues. I tried to hit it on the corner down here, you know, just nice and firm. That usually resets it. Just kidding. But it was not aligning, so we just turned it off, and we SIVA or INS number 2, it aligned perfectly, and so we're using it now as our we're using it as our guide, as our navigation system. So that's where we're at, and we're 133 miles, about 17 minutes. So downwind, if you're listening, we just passed over the top of Calgary, and hopefully you're in the air. Oh, just waving. All right. Hello. Hello. I can't even downwind sim. Where are you? You're back there, right? Somewhere. He's out there in one of those cornfields waving at us. All right, very cool. Very cool. So, all right, at this point in time, I think I feel like we're nice and stable. Our speed never did really come back down, so I'm not, you know, I'm pretty happy with 0.8, 0.81. You know, it's well below overspeed, and but well above any danger of us pitching nose up and kind of losing that. So I think I'm going to not mess with the power settings. I'm going to come over here and make a quick check. So yeah, we're about 2,380 gallons. 2330, 2380, that's pretty balanced. 9290, 9230, yeah, that's pretty balanced. So again, we're unloading the fuel in a particular order. You drain the outboard alternate tanks first. At that point in time, you have the outboard mains that should match up with the inboard mains, and then you just equally use the fuel out of those tanks, and life is good. And hopefully that makes sense. I mean, this is the tanks that are farthest, they're farthest out on the wing. So you know, as you are in flight, it's nice if you can. I think that's the idea is, you know, you pull that weight off of the outside, and I don't know the exact science behind it, but I know that's the reason why you do it in that particular order, is to maintain the maximum structural integrity of the wing. Okay, well, I think at this point in time, I'm going to take another break. I have some boxes to load, and so give me about 5 minutes here. Another trip to the little pilot's room as well, and I'll be right back. Enjoy the sights and sounds. Mission accomplished. All of the Christmas decorations are put away. It's a little sad, kind of a changing of the seasons a little bit, I guess, and kind of bittersweet. You know, you're always so excited to get things out, and then when it's time to put them away, it's kind of like, yeah, January's coming, the New Year's coming, and that's cool and all, but also means that I have to go back to work. So let's see. I forgot one of our friends, Agent Bravo 7, is currently flying in this little shuttle madness. Let's see how she's doing. Chasing the sun is what she's calling it. And you can see it's a little bit on the dusk side, but let's check in. Let's see how she's doing. Oh, there's the across the pond yawn. I recognize that yawn anywhere. She still has her festivities adorning her sim, though. Yeah, she's not giving it up quite yet. Usually my wife will wait until, you know, more like after New Year's, but I don't know, I guess she just was in a mood to get stuff put away. So it all came down in a big way today. I mean, boy. Yeah, like 4 hours ago, everything was still up. Christmas tree was lit. Everything was rolling. Now it's gone. What was that event called again? Looking. Frankfurt Shuttle. I guess I better make sure that's what she's doing. It's possible that she's not doing that. Let's see. Can we find her on Bat Sim? Let's look. Where she would be? Oh, she's just saying Boeing 767 ER. Oh boy, she could be any of these people. All right, there's no way to figure out. I don't have her friended on Batastic just yet. So, well, all right. We'll just do a standard hello. She's a good lady.
Well, well, I have coffee.
Okay. Very, very talented young lady. Knows a ton.
Makes things only worse for me.
Knows a ton about aviation. Really a talented sim pilot.
Survived the rest of 1 hour and approximately 20 minutes, and
kind of when you're in that stage of the flight too, you're sort of just I mean, you're happy that things are boring essentially, because you don't want catastrophic things to happen when you're out over the ocean. But I'll look for her here, and if I can find her, I'll try to point her out on VatSim. It's just good to see. First of all, it's good to see a younger person that's interested in simming, but it's really good to see a young lady that's interested in simming, because they're just few and far between. And I just don't know why. I mean, I guess it's just not what young ladies like to do. There's plenty of female gamers on Twitch, but for whatever reason, flight sim is just not what they enjoy doing. So it's kind of cool to see one that, hey, I think we found her. And the Delta 4 87, I think that's what that says. So, yeah, right there. There she is. And, yeah, I mean, she's getting there. It's just about to the east coast of Canada. Just about in that Gander area. So, not too far. It's got to be within 2 hours or so of Kennedy. So, that's not too bad. We'll keep our eyes peeled on her and see how it goes. Okay. Now when Sim says he's not allowed to pack until after New Year's Day. Yeah, that's usually the deal here, but everything was shifted like a week at our house. I don't know why, but we started putting stuff up early. And I mean, we had stuff up. We usually, the traditional way of doing it is, you know, you have Thanksgiving dinner, and then that night you throw on Christmas Vacation or some kind of Elf or something Christmas movie. Die Hard, you know, that's the one that we like to watch, and that's you spend the evening putting stuff up on Thanksgiving. Well, we had it up. It was up, rocking and rolling early, so maybe for some reason her Christmas decorating clock just moved up a little bit, and I'm just the labor, so I'm not management on this deal, and so I let her make those decisions. All right, we're 20 miles from, where the heck are we? We're past Calgary, so we're 20 miles. This is Empress that we're coming in on, and so 15.9. I should go ahead and tune that in. We're almost there. 1590. We were still picking up Calgary. Yep. So yeah, there's going to be a little discrepancy between the Vortac and the INS. Interestingly enough, the INS is considered more accurate than the VOR. So that's pretty cool. And the INS, the awesome thing about the INS is I think I mentioned this early on, it made oceanic crossings much more reliable, because you can, again, if you know a latitude and longitude, you can tune that in, and the INS will fly the plane right there. It'll account for wind and drift and rotation of the Earth and all that stuff. It was GPS before GPS was GPS, basically. Really a remarkable piece of technology. We're picking up slight turbulence here. Don't usually see that this high, but getting a few bumpity bumps. Unfortunately, still no ATC to speak of in our area. I think they're all out there helping on the East Coast, but that's okay. It's the way it goes. I get it. We are expecting a little bit of a left-hand turn to a heading of 081 or thereabouts. So let's see. It won't be a huge difference, but let's see what happens here. That's where we should be when we're all said and done. Actually, it looks like that's more of a right-hand turn. I wonder if we're getting a little bit of a crosswind still. Winds currently from the north, 001 at 52. So yeah, we're getting shoved a little bit off our left-hand side. There's our slight turn. 081 is the heading we're attempting to hold. It should be right there. Again, this doesn't do anything to the SIVA. This is just me seeing how close we're going to be. In other pressing news, who do you have? Oklahoma, LSU, Ohio State, Clemson. college football playoff time, and the first game kicks off here in just a little bit. Pretty excited. I'm rooting for probably the worst of the four teams on paper. None of them are bad, obviously, but Oklahoma looks to be the one with maybe the longest odds. Well, they're the 4 seed, so that shows you right there. But so I'm rooting for them. I'd like to see Jalen Hurts, who's their quarterback, I'd like to see him win a national championship now that he's away from Alabama. I think he's been a great kid, very selfless, and I'm happy he's had a chance at a different university to have success. And I like OU. However, they drew the big dogs right off the bat. LSU is loaded. Holy guacamole, they are stacked. So, it'll be a heck of a game. All right, so as you can see, we are definitely crabbing into the wind just a little bit, and must be fairly significant because we are getting still kind of the wobbles, the weeble wobbles. After Empress, it's a 195-mile leg to Lumsden. And Lumsden, then, it's a long leg, 236 to Landreth, and then from Landreth we start thinking descent. So I say we're a little over the halfway point. Everything has went fairly well with the exception of our INS not initializing correctly, but everything else has went pretty smooth. Let's check our fuel, by the way. Yeah, another 1,500 or so, 1,600 or so gallons. Again, once that's dry, we turn the boost off, we close the fill valves, and this total should be pretty darn close. What's kind of interesting, and I've never done a flight long enough, I do, at some point in time I want to do across the pond, like a legit CTP, but I have to do a couple practice ones first. But I want to do enough of a trip where I have some center fuel as well, because that also adds a little bit of, you know, there's a procedure for getting that fuel out, and you know, when do you use that fuel, and it's pretty cool. But this is completely modeled as far as, like, if I wanted to, you notice this tank is slightly fuller than this tank. There's a way for me to cross feed this fuel from this main into this main. If I wanted to do that, I could. I don't know how to do that, but there is a way. I've seen the documentation. So it's fully modeled down here, and yeah, I do have the ability to do that if I need to. And I'm not going to, thankfully, but yeah. All right, well, we're right on the money SEVA wise. We are drifting a little bit to the left according to the VOR. I think we're doing pretty well. You can hear the engines kind of making adjustments there based on the wind, trying to hold that altitude. We're running well below our maximum cruise power, so pretty efficient. All right, so beverage refilled here. On to some hot tea. And 89 miles from Empress on the outbound, 105 on the inbound here, so about 13 minutes till our next waypoint. INS-2 is working very well. 1,200 pounds of fuel still, then we will turn that off. So I think everything is going good. In case you're curious about top of descent, one thing I do like about SimBrief, well, there's a lot I like about it, but it'll put in your top of descent. For us, it's in between Lumsden and Langruth, and it's right at these points, and so it's tough to kind of see exactly where that's at. So you can do a little sky vector SimBrief combo to figure that out. So so we know it's in between. Again, it's in between Victor Lima November Lumsden and Victor Lima Romeo Langruth. So there's Lumsden, sorry, and there is Langruth. So it's in here somewhere on the Victor 500. So if we do this, if we put in, let's just do a copy and paste. Need all of that. North 50322. Actually, let's do this. Let's split this out. North 5032.2. West 10041.7. It'll give us that point right there. So it helps us with the calculation. So when we're 75 miles from Langruth, that's our top of descent. And again, this is calculating top of descent based off of our cruise altitude, which is told us was going to be 370. So it's not just making stuff up here. It's given us a very accurate spot. It also does take into account, by the way, weather information, and it has all the wind information. This is at the time of me building this, so this would have been several hours ago. But unless things have changed drastically, that's you're still going to be, within 50 miles or so of top of descent, maybe even better. But yeah, you have just a ton of information here for those people that love to dig into this stuff. And yeah, you can really see a lot of different things here. But for us, the main thing is that we know our top of descent there is going to be, approximately 75 nautical miles from Langreth. So that's kind of a neat trick. I think we're 60 miles out. I think we can go ahead and flip over to Lumsden 14.2 just to track, make sure that our numbers are matching up. That should match up with that. Yep, 58, 59. Yeah, pretty darn close. Roughly 60 miles out. Sorry for the quiet cockpit. I'm actually munching on some pretzels right now, so I've got my mic muted here. I don't think you probably don't want the munching sounds. You don't need that much full immersion. I'm also watching LSU with the early lead on Oklahoma. Not looking too good for the Sooners. All right, again, we've got our top of descent roughed out here. We're just about to Lumsden. We're going to go through Lumsden, approximately 160 miles, and that's when we'll start our top of descent. So as soon as we cross Lumsden, we're going to start the descent planning phase. We're only 8 miles, less than a minute. Really not expecting much of a shift here. It's a 077 outbound, so shouldn't be a whole lot of a change here, if any. Slight left-hand turn, if anything. It's not been the smoothest flight in the world. We've had just slight bumps really for about the last, I don't know, 45 minutes or so, maybe even longer than that. There we go. Well, a little more of a left turn than I thought, actually. And we'll start to track that outbound 077. And yeah, we can start to look at Winnipeg. Excuse me. I don't have any ATIS just yet, so we'll look at the active sky, just get a little text version of it. That'll at least give us a rough idea. So right now the wind's 3405, but it's saying it's going to become, well, that's about 2100 Zulu. We're close to that time. So looks like north landing. We do have very good visibility, broken at 25,000, so it is slowly in transition. Doesn't look like it's going to be much different. Yeah. Down here, though, it does have a little bit broken at 600, overcast at 9,000, so there may be some visibility issues. But the main thing here, 340 at 5. So what does that mean for our arrival. Well, we don't have one. Winnipeg does not have an arrival. It does have a runway that runs north and south though. The longer one, 18 and 36. So we'll be using runway 36, 11,000 feet. We could probably use 31 if we needed to, but that's what we'll be using. Now, the Sky Vector doesn't have any of the charts for Canada, but luckily for us, we have Navigraph. So let's pull the Navigraph charts up and let's see. Oh, I take that back. There is an arrival. I think these are all RNAV arrivals, though. I think that's the problem. Let's overlay that. Let's see what it says here. RNAV. Yep, RNAV star. RNAV for the BFAN. RNAV for the Kelto 3. RNAV for the Korik 2. And RNAV for the Pepno. Yep, Pepno 2. So I was half right. There are arrivals, but they're all RNAV, so they're not usable for us. So we will have to just figure out how to finagle our way into runway 31. We do have an ILS Zulu, which is good. We also have an NDB approach if we wanted to use that. That'd be interesting. Haven't done that in a long time. Well, it looks to me like we're going to fly right over the top of the airfield. We're going to come out here. We're going to do a procedure turn. We're going to come back in on the ILS 31 approach. We'll need to be down to 3,000 by the time we hit that initial approach fix. ZHT Forks. Is that what that is? ZHT. And then we're on the roll. It's a 315 approach course. 110.3 is our heading. So, all right. So we'll come straight into Winnipeg. When we get to Winnipeg, we'll head on the outbound here. Reciprocal of 315. We'll make this east-west procedure turn. We'll get our altitude down to 3,000, and that'll help us intercept the ILS Zulu runway 31 localizer, and then we'll be good to go. Okay, I think we can do that. So the next thing for us to pay attention to again is when do we hit that top of descent, and that is, according to Sky Vector, that is when we are 161 miles away from Lumsden, which is what we just crossed. So we're keeping an eye on that. If we lose that VOR, we can tune in the next one, which is Langreth, and that's we'll be 75 miles away from Langreth when it's time for us to begin our descent. All right, Oklahoma, I think just tied it up. Nice job, guys. Extra point pending, of course. Looks like our friend Agent Bravo 7 is getting a little closer. Unfortunately, Moncton Center went offline, which is where she was in the midst of, but she's just about to the Boston airspace. So she'll start getting busy. It's pretty dark in her cockpit. It's only 5:30, 5:45. Does it really get that dark in the in the New England area. I guess she is up quite a ways to the north. We'll definitely check back in on her when she's getting a little bit closer to making her approach. Hopefully it will not correspond to when we're making our approach. But if it does, it does. Let's see, what else do I need to do? Let's just check, run through the checklist here real quickly. Top of descent planning is complete. Ice protection is as needed. Don't really have any moisture per se. We will be descending through some clouds, so probably throw the ice protection on it as we descend. Let's check our fuel. Once again, we have to be getting close to draining those outboards. Yep, 350, 400. As soon as those are empty, turn that off, close the fill valves. And yeah, we're going to be right there, guys. I mean, pretty well balanced. VREF, we do have that. We need to probably set that. It's, what did I say, 128? Is that what I had early on? Yeah, 128. Let's go ahead and just set that. That's pretty close. Oh, that's right. These all go away. I'll leave that. That's flap speed. 128 is ref. So I think if we're on approach kind of in that 140 range, 140 to 145, I think we'd be good. And then the approach, again, we're going to fly directly over the top. And we're going to head on an outbound, let's see, 315. So we're going to be heading outbound on a 135 heading. When we get 10 miles or so from the airport, we're going to fly a procedure turn 90 degrees and 270. It's going to be a right-hand turn. That will bring us back around. We'll intercept the localizer and we'll make our approach into Winnipeg. Speaking of Winnipeg, I should probably take a peek also at where we can park. Let's see if I can find a doesn't look like I have much online here. The old terminal maps just doesn't, it doesn't look like it goes up into Canada. All right, well, we'll just use we'll use GSX. It can lead us to where we need to go. See if I can just do a, oh, I do have an interactive map of Winnipeg. Here's what I'm searching for. Okay, there we go. There we go. That's a little bit better. Arrivals. Okay, that wasn't really what I was thinking of. How about airport diagram? Hoping for something a little bit more. All right, we can just do this. So we can just come into taxi, look at airport info. We'll just do it that way. That'll be just as easy. Whoops. Airport info. Alright, so we're going to land on, oh, did I say 3-1? Alright, hold on for a second. We may need to relook at that approach. I think I've been playing at 3-1. I want 3-6. ILS Zulu. Yeah, it's going to be a similar deal. We're going to come in here. We're going to intercept Winnipeg. We'll be flying. So I'm going to change my approach briefing. We'll fly the outbound 185. And then it'll be a 140 to 320 procedure turn. Again, a right-hand turn will intercept 005, but it's going to change our frequency. Yeah, I guess we could have done 3-1. That would have been okay, but this one gives us, it's a little more length, and you just never know. So let's go back here. If we land on 3-6, then the terminal is over here. So we're probably going to be off at Quebec at the earliest. We'll go back on Tango to Foxtrot, and then Foxtrot will take us into the area, the ramp here. We'll find one of these gates. Hopefully there's one big enough for us. We'll see what GSX says. They'll help us out as well. Alright. That looks good. I'll take that. And what did we say? Top of descent coming up, I think here. Yeah, 161 miles. So we're 100 miles out right now. We'll shoot for 1,000 feet per minute, and I think I'll try to keep my speed at about 250. All right, the pretzels are all gone. And quit muting the mic. 130-ish miles. We got 30 to go. 160 is when we'll start the top of descent. Been a good flight so far. Does look like it's a little bit hazy down there though, so we might yeah, we may have to, you know what, let's just do this. First thing I'm gonna do is let's turn some lights on just in case. And then we will go ahead and we'll turn the anti-ice on here. Hey, Black Fox. Get all those powerful lights turned on. Why do I have a feeling I just turned the anti-ice off? No. Actually think they were on already. Okay. Well, that's good then. Okay, let's come over here. We've been waiting for this all day long. Yep. All right, we're empty. Boost pumps coming off. Fill valves are shut. 6890, 6860, 6920, 6920. That's not too bad. We kept that fuel fairly well balanced. Plenty of fuel to make it home. Didn't even need my extra, I guess, 1,000 pounds. Of course, we're not there yet. 144 again. We're looking for 160 to start the descent. And a pleasant afternoon to you as well, Black Fox. Glad to have you here, man. Happy Saturday. Had our friend Downwind with us a little bit. Trax 360 stopped by early on as well. Gave me a little moral support as I couldn't get. You'll notice INS number 1 is off. Couldn't get it to align. But INS2 is held up nicely. Ooh, leased a plane from Ken Pryor. What'd you lease? And by the way, you haven't missed a whole lot. It's been pretty routine, which is good. I don't mind that. It's kind of nice to have a routine flight in one of these old birds. Ooh, the Baron. Yep. Very cool. Yeah, you've made like you're a tycoon in the Skyhawk, and now moving up to the Baron. That'll be pretty cool. You'll be right alongside Slant Alpha with his Beach Baron. All right, there's 160. So here we go. We'll pull the power back a little bit. Try to get the speed nudging in the right direction. And then let's nose her over to 1,000 feet per minute. Again, we're looking for 1,000 a minute on the descent. We're looking for about 250 on the speed. So I did try to set that up. Somebody has some kind of a poker run that they're doing, and I loaded it up, and I actually had an account from way back, but there's 3 or 4 different pieces of software that I need to add or download and install, and I just haven't gotten to it yet. I'm having too much fun with the other stuff here, so it's something though. FSE is something I want to get into here before too much longer. Good goal for 2020, I guess. So we're spinning her on down. If we had ATC, they'd probably be giving us some steps, you know, descend and maintain 180, 240, 070, whatever. We're going to head down to 3,000 because that's where we need to be for the initial approach fix. We are expecting ILS Zulu, runway 36. And once we get to Langgrith, which is coming up here, it's only 59 miles, 7 minutes. Once we get to there, I actually think I'm going to turn the SEVA off, and we're going to dial in Winnipeg, and we'll fly it using radio navigation. We don't have to do that because the SEVA does have Winnipeg in as the final approach, or the final fix, the 5th waypoint, basically. As you can see, we're currently on 3 going to 4. We'll be there in 6.9 minutes, 54 miles. Let's Langgrith. Let's put Langgrith. Sorry, Langgrith. 112.2. Put that in. We'll just make sure those match up. Yeah, 53, 52. Pretty close. Pretty close. Pretty bird. And what should we be inbound on? Looks like it's telling us 271 inbound. Okay. Let's just get the heading knob set just in case. So it's a 271 or 274 outbound from Langgrith. So yeah, 090. Wait a second. Yeah, 091, right? Yeah, that's the inbound. So yeah, we're a little bit off. The Vortex says we're a little off. The INS says we're right on the moolah, and that's what counts right now. Speed is creeping a little bit. Don't go chasing waterfalls. You guys have all seen the movie The Other Guys, right? One of the funniest parts of that movie is the police sergeant or the captain, I can't remember. He's always making reference to TLC songs, but he claims that he's never heard of them. So he's always saying stuff like, guys, don't go chasing waterfalls. I don't want no scrubs. I just need to creep. Let's see. Yeah, The Other Guys, it's a great movie. It is a great movie. I'll say this, aim for the bushes. Now you got to go watch the movie to know what that means. ETA, Downwind Sim is saying. Well, ETA right now, my friend, 4.7 minutes to Langgrith. And then past Langgrith, we are probably, oh heck, I don't know, probably another 20 minutes or so into Winnipeg. Maybe a little more than that because we have to fly a procedure turn. At least we're on the descent. That's all I can say. So that feels good. It's been a great flight so far. Yep, Winnipeg. We flew Vancouver to Winnipeg. This, by the way, Mr. Black Fox, this is the CP Air DC-8, and this is a little stream series I have called Historic Routes. So this is a route from, I believe, 1978 that ran on Wednesdays. It took you direct Vancouver to Winnipeg. So we really started in your neck of the woods, because I think you're not far from Vancouver also, right? Or are you closer to Winnipeg? I tried to talk Downwind into hopping in his Mad Dog and joining me for part of the wait, I'm going to work on my Canadian here. I tried to have him join me for part of the routes, but You grew up in the prairies there. Okay, cool. Yeah, it looks like awesome country. I'm a big, well, I used to be a big bird hunter. I used to love to hunt ducks and geese, and I always wanted to go up to the Winnipeg area because that's where all our birds come from. We're a part of that flyway, and but I hear the stories of how good the bird hunting is up there. Guys having 2 shotguns in there blind with them just because there's so many birds. Or you can start shooting at the front of the flock, reload, and get birds also from the back of the flock. I'm like, yeah, that. When I was a younger guy, I'm like, that's my kind of party. But I never made it. Maybe it's something I'll take my grandson to. When you're young enough to do it physically, you're always working too hard. You never have time, or you never have money. And then what I'm finding is, as you get a little bit older and you have some time and have some money, you don't always have the legs to do it. Goose hunting can be pretty physically demanding type of hunting. You wouldn't think that because you spend 90% of the time laying in a goose blind, but there's a lot to it. It's a young man's game. All right, large body of water. Should I be seeing a large body of water? What is this large body of water that I'm currently seeing? I don't. It's not listed on my chart here. What's this lake called? Right past Lake Superior. No, it's not Lake Superior. Come on. What's the lake that's northwest of Winnipeg? Where's Al South MIA when you need him? It's a big old lake, I tell you what. Is it Lake Winnipeg? That's a big. They said to make it huge. It's a big old body of water. That's all I know. Okay. All right. Well, we're closing in here 3 miles from Langreth, and we'll turn from Langreth and we'll head direct to Winnipeg. It's a 65-mile leg. When we get to Winnipeg, that's when we're going to fly the outbound and make the procedure turn, and then we will be rocking and rolling to runway 36. It'll be ILS Zulu. Is that right? ILS Zulu runway 36. Well, you told me Lake Superior first, Black Fox. I'm not doubting you at all, but I just I also don't want you leading me astray and just making fun of the stupid American. No, we're coming in from the north here, so cutting across. No wonder this is where all those geese hang out. Then is Lake Winnipeg. It's about as big as the state of South Dakota. It looks like. Holy cow, this is a big old lake. How awesome. All right, so in the meantime, let's tune this in. We're getting close. So we need, it's going to be 109.9 and an approach course of 5. That's going to be what we're looking at. By the way, missed approach, we're going to climb to 3,000. We're going to stay on runway heading to Aldal. And that looks like we just kind of enter a right-hand holding pattern if we need it. $109.9. I'm going to let Siva take us right straight toward Winnipeg, and then when we get about 10 miles out, we'll let the heading bug take over. then this needs to be 005. Let's spin that guy. Oops. Spin that guy around. 005. When we get to Winnipeg, we have to head outbound on a 185 heading. I feel like I may need to increase my rate of descent here. I'm not, I'm still at 22,400. Mighty high. But I've also picked up some speed, so let's pull that back a little bit as well. This thing is quite a glider, honestly. It really it doesn't like to bleed off energy, and it will sail down the runway a long time if you're a little quick. But it's a fun plane to hand fly. And very stable, just because the length of the wings, and you know, they're not only are they long, but they're wide from front to back, and so it's really stable. But you just have to plan your turn like about a week and a half in advance. And then stuff like this, trying to bleed off airspeed, forget about it. It's a tough deal. All right, cool, man. Bring the 172 over. I'm pretty sure they won't care if I pull this this big bird into the GA ramp, don't you think? Your Skyhawk will fit right underneath the wing here. I'll keep you out of the snow. Man, we're starting to get about a halfway pretty sunset here, guys, if we're not careful. That's going to be pretty awesome. Look for the Crates marked kitchen utensils. Will do, my friend, will do. 37 miles. Like I say, this gets to 10. We're going to pull off the SIVA. We're going to put it on heading mode. And then we're going to... Actually, what I think I'll do is this. Winnipeg is 115.5. Let's tune that into nav 2. And then we will right now we're coming in at about a 115-ish heading. Okay, so hopefully when we flip that over, we'll take this guy off of INS and put him on radio also. 30 miles out, 180, so 3005, that's our altimeter. Okay. We're getting closer. Speed's still a little bit quick, but I think I can live with that. What an aircraft. And we can, if we're still a little bit high by the time we get past Winnipeg, we can extend that procedure turn, that downwind leg. We don't have to, there's no magic number that says you have to make the turn at 10 miles or anything like that. It's just tougher to, at a certain point you lose the DME, or excuse me, you lose the localizer. So, you know, the recommended on the chart is kind of, there's a 10 DME arc right there. So it's kind of like, yeah, you need to make that turn sort of before you get too much further. I think this is a 15 arc, but you know, you got a little bit of wiggle room there if you need it. It's magic. Is it in the hand or the pocket? That's not an appropriate magician to be quoting. I apologize. 20 miles. 20 miles. 15,000 feet. You've seen the punk magician, Black Fox? I don't remember his name. If you search for punk magician, we used to when I was teaching back a long time ago, we used to quote the punk magician in the hallway, me and my friends, to each other, not to the kids, because the punk magician uses language that's not appropriate for children, even high school kids. $16 milos. Just about ready to flip it over and start to configure for our approach. I'm gonna do some magic for the people. It's funny but crude. Stuff you think about after a 3-hour long trip across the Canadian prairie. Should start to see the beautiful lights of Winnipeg here at some point, right? Or am I seeing the fog layer, the haze layer? I guess I can understand why you'd have that around here if you have a couple of big, huge lakes. Probably get some lake effect weather, don't you? I do have potentially, it's supposed to be coming perhaps broken at 600, overcast 9,000, broken at 10,000, scattered at 600. It doesn't know what it wants. Some low-lying stuff apparently, and I'm kind of seeing that right now. So, all right, 9 miles. So let's go back to heading. I'll flip this guy back to radio. And oh, I do have the localizer already in effect. And then where am I at as far as this goes? I think I'm well, looks like maybe I'm well to the south of the, okay, so I need to turn more like 0, it's telling me here like 098 to get on course here. So I'm going to do that. Might be more like 09 or 0 at this point. Try to get this to match. Oh, there's the airfield right there. Okay, so no wonder we were right over the top of that sucker. All right, so let's turn on the 185. I think we can go ahead and start making our way out here. Yeah, 185. We're on the outbound. Should make a call here. Winnipeg traffic, Empress 386. We're on the outbound procedure turn for the ILS runway 36, Winnipeg. 10,000 feet, so it's time to put the starter to armed. Landing lights are on. The retract lights are on. And everything else I think looks good. Quick check of the fuel here just to make sure everything's copacetic. Yep, everything kind of in that 64 to 63 range. That looks good. And one other thing, any warning lights of any kind? Nope, that looks pretty clean. Looks like everything's where it needs to be. Pressures, temps are all looking good. Everything, just a quick scan, that all looks good. All my pressures, temps here looking good. Altimeter set. Alright, so we are, again, we're looking for 109.9, and that's what we have right there. I don't know why that's, the DME is not working, but I do have my localizer, and no glide slope just yet. Actually, maybe I have the glide slope, but not the localizer. No, the localizer's over there. So I'm above, which isn't surprising, but I'm well to the, be to the right. If I picture myself going this way, I'm to the right of where I need to be. So, no, to the right of where I need to be. So I actually need to be tracking just a little bit left. So I'll do that when I do the procedure turn. That's my DME saying over here. 10 miles. Okay, I want to do that in between 10 and 15 miles, so that's kind of where we're at. We're at about 6,000 feet. I might just extend that a hair. I need to get my speed down though, going too fast. All right, the outbound turn is a 140. Sorry for the procedure turn. Looks like we may extend a little past 15 here. That's unintentional, but that's just kind of the way it goes. I'm going to have to shallow my descent also here to get my speed down. I'm a little too quick. Really want to be more like about 210 at this point. There we go. Localizer starting to come in. Glide slope starting to come in. 5,000 feet. 2 to go. All right, passing over the localizer. Yeah, I had ended up a little bit right, of course. I turned to the south just a little too early. All right, how far out are we here? 16. Okay, I can turn ought to be able to turn myself around here. This is a right-hand turn. And back on a 320 is what the chart says. 1,000 to go. 320 should allow me to intercept the localizer unless I've got too far away from the airfield. Let's see what happens here. I am going to level off at 3,000. We'll keep it at 3,000 until established. Cleared for the ILS, runway 36 approach. Yep, we've got ground contact. Definitely some haze around here. And click. All right, now I've got to pay attention. I don't want to get too slow too quick now that I've leveled off. As soon as I start getting myself back into business here. There's the glide slope. I'm below it, which is where you want to be. There's the localizer. I'm to the right of it, which is where I want to be. 320 should be an easy enough. Okay, I'm going to flip this all the way around to capture the localizer, and it's going to S-turn a little bit here. Sorry, guys. Winnipeg traffic, Empress 386. We are on the inbound procedure turn runway 36, Winnipeg. Yeah, so it's going to zig, it's going to zag just a little bit. Speed's holding pretty well. I'll try to get it down a little closer to flap speed, but I don't want to get too slow. We're still, 20, 19 miles out, something like that. So I'm just nudging the power back just a little bit. By me being this fast, that also really makes it tough for the autopilot to establish. I mean, I'm just going so fast, it's blowing me right through the localizer over and over again. Yeah, downwind, you're recognizing that. So I'm just slowly but surely pulling back. I'm like, you can see I'm clear down here at 109. It's just, as hard as it is to speed this plane up, it's equally as challenging trying to slow it down. I guess that's a good thing, though. Maybe I need to pop it into heading mode just for a second. All right. What are we at here? Got to get it, throw out the anchor. Actually, I read one of the procedures is to, you can put your inboard motors, you can do the reverse on the inboard motors while you're in flight if you want to slow down quickly. It's not recommended, but you can do that if you need to. One flight crashed that way as it ripped the wings off. So yes, not the best procedure in the world to do. But all right, here we go. Winnipeg traffic, Empress 386, 10-mile final, runway 36, Winnipeg. There's our town. Now we're established. Glide slope is about to come in. Just about to flap speed. Runway in sight. Glide slope is captured. I'm going to throw a notch of flaps in here. Got to get myself down to 128. That's the ref speed. Really, the approach speed should be down about 140. So, needless to say, yeah, we're fairly high. I'm going to try to get fully configured, though, by 7. That's the goal. It's a flaps 30 approach. Sorry, 35 approach. Getting that gear horn. Yep, I hear you, but I need to slow down a little bit here. All right, gear down. Kind of doing the head bob thing here for the glide slope. Let's just take that off and try to even that out a little bit. Yeah, that was really not good. That was not as well captured as I thought. So we'll level it off. We'll try to get back on the glide slope here. Try to keep our speed somewhere in the neighborhood of 140 right until the end. Then we'll bleed it off a little bit. There we go. That's looking a little better. Should have just flown it by hand that last 10 miles. More fun that way anyway. All right, glide slope's coming back. Localizer's coming back. Pull the power back slightly. 128 is what I'm looking for. All right, landing gear down 3 green. Flaps are set, altimeter set. Lights are on. Runway's clear. Yeah, we're still just a little bit low. Okay, reverser's engaged. Okay, I will take that. Ended up a little right of center, but all in all, not terrible. This is Papa coming up. I'm going to hang a right on Papa. and taxi to gate. Let me get off the runway first, then we'll call up GSX, and we'll let the follow me truck take me to an appropriate gate. Papa to Foxtrot. That sounds good. Let's get ourselves on Foxtrot. I didn't see anybody coming. That'll be well clear of the runway. Yeah, that's where we're going eventually, but let's get the follow me guy heading our way here. So see if I remember how to do that. There we go. What do we want? Gate? I don't know. Let's just pick gate. That's the only one. So there's a heavy, gate 18. Request to follow me, yes. And any WestJet, Swissport, I don't know. WestJet's more Canadian. We'll wait for the truck to come. In the meantime, we will let's get the checklist looked at here after landing. Taxi checklist. Flaps can come up. Cleaned up. Landing lights can come over to taxi light. Retracts off. The ignition, whoops. Auto ignition off. The, let's see, anti-skid can come off. Here comes our follow me. Yeah, Black Fox. I don't do it very often, but every so often I will, especially a place like Winnipeg where I really have never been before. I'll just let the follow me truck tell me. All right, back. Let's catch up on the sterile cockpit chatter. Yep, downwind sim. You know me well, don't you? You can reach that. Crazy Melvin at the controls. Usually, yes. But that wasn't too bad. I'll take that. I will take that. Black Fox is harassing me about a follow me truck. And I have a follow me wife. Well, that's a whole different deal. You know, that was me last night when my wife made some chicken. And I could smell that all the way down here. So I literally cut my flight in half last night for FNO because I was so dang hungry for the chicken. So it's cool. I've been there, man. It's a good problem to have. Well, yeah. My mistake usually is I start my flight somewhere around dinner time, and then I wonder why I'm always salivating because I smell the food and I can't go eat it. If I would just wait, you know, a half an hour, I could have dinner and not, you know, be fully fueled myself. It's okay. The stories they would tell, I'm sure. I don't want to run this guy over. Need to hurry up a little bit there. What's the speed limit? How many kilometers an hour are you allowed to drive in Canada? This guy is going about 5 kilometers slower than I want. Yeah, I should start seeing some ground equipment. I think I do see it. All right. I love you, Canada. Love you. I have. My grandson watches this YouTube channel. Well, we watch together, called Brain Candy, and it's a pretty cool channel. Honestly, it's got a lot of neat stuff. This is not my gate. You're cutting me across the tarmac there, buddy. But anyway, it's the narrator is so stereotypically Canadian. He's like, "Hey, Brainiacs, let's learn. Today we're going to talk about numbers. Let's check it out." I mean, it's just like, whoa, I'm ready. It's okay to have your own dialect, man. It's not a bad thing. We've got that same thing here in Wyoming. Just because guys like Downwind Sim don't talk correctly, we can't help that. All right. Keep coming, the rampy says. Almost there, and there. And now we'll get the wave, stop. I am stopped. Now I want to see the cut engines. There it is. Cut the engines. Very nice. Very nice. That was a really, really fun flight. All right. Power's coming off. We are going to... I'm not going to worry about hooking up ground power. I'm going to come over here and I'm just going to shut things down. So battery, turn that off. That's off. Galley power, sorry guys. No more coffee for Black Fox. There's a little left if you want one more sip, man. We'll hook you up. Let's see what else up here. I had all my lights turned on. I should have probably turned those off before I powered off. Those can go off. All my heaters can be turned off. Emergency lights can go to disarm. All those guys that were turned on can be turned off. Landing taxi lights off. Anti-ice systems all off. And man, I think it's just that easy. I don't know why I still have power to this SIVA, but let's do this. Let's just turn it off. Or as they say in Canada, let's turn it off. Plug plane in, that's right. Hopefully the guy down there is running the extension cord so I can plug this baby in. Okay, well, shoot. That was a ton of fun. And what a great way to kick off this section of the Historic Routes series, the Canadian Pacific. And yeah, it's going to be a fun one, I can tell. I love this DC-8. It's the most challenging plane for me personally to fly. But today it was nice to me, and it ended up being a really, really fun flight into Winnipeg. I will be doing at some point. I don't have a hard and fast schedule for these historic routes, but at some point I'll be doing another leg with the CP Air DC-8. We'll be going Winnipeg to Montreal with a stopover in Toronto. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be an interesting one to do. The flight into Toronto itself is going to be kind of like what we just had, but to make that quick turnaround, that short hop to Montreal is going to be, I think, interesting and challenging, and who knows what the weather will be like and all that good stuff. But that's down the road at some point in time. I actually have it scheduled for the 11th of January. So speaking of which, here's some things coming up for the channel. Again, I'm on break, so my usual Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday schedule is a little bit modified because I have a few extra days to mess around, and so I'm streaming a few Fridays and some Mondays that I don't normally stream just because of that. But coming up here, actually my next scheduled stream will be Tuesday, and I'm going to introduce a new series called Nowhere Fast. I'm going to leave you hanging on that one, but I will tell you it's a little bit of an extension of our Bush League series, as well as a bit of an itch that I wanted to scratch with a plane that I recently acquired. So that will be a new series that I start on Tuesday. I'll actually do that Tuesday and Thursday and Saturday of next week. So 3-part series to kind of get that series kicked off. Friday the 3rd is the 2020 kickoff FNO. That's up in the Seattle area. No. Pardon me. I don't know where that's at, but we'll be in the Captain Sim 737-200 for that one. And that I may change my mind depending on how much progress I make on the FlyJSim 727. I might do a substitute there. But anyway, I'll be in one of those two planes Friday. And then coming up in 2 Mondays, Monday the 6th of January, we do have the Bush League backcountry fly-in that I was talking about. And I'm going to be, I'll be in one of the Bush planes that I currently have. I'm proud to say I have 3 now, which is kind of cool. It's really stuff I love doing, and I'm looking forward to that. We'll be up in the Washington State area, and so that should be a ton of fun. And come one, come all for that. Then the following Tuesday, Boston has a regional circuit going. We'll be in the Just Flight Turbo Aero, and that takes us pretty much the next week and a half or so. And then, like I say, coming up on the 11th of January, I'll be back in this plane, and we'll be doing that second leg of the historic flight for CP Air. But until then, I think that's just about it. So let's see. Black Fox. Yeah, needs extra days to shovel snow. You're right. We did get a little extra snow today, but it was the best kind of snowstorm. It was the snowstorm that was so light that I didn't even have to shovel. It just kind of melted off on its own. So I will take that. But yeah, that's it for me. Appreciate you guys hanging out, everybody that stopped by. It was great to visit with you. If you stumble upon this later on, hopefully you'll come over to the Twitch channel and check us out. We do a lot of mostly propeller-driven stuff, but every so often this is our guilty pleasure, the vintage airliner. So, but one way or another, we have a lot of fun doing whatever it is we're doing. So, until next time, guys, that's it for me. Take care. I'll be looking for you on the TCast. Have a fantastic rest of your Saturday. God bless. Next time, guys, that's it for me. Take care.